Commander Zexthel stood on his bridge, his forearms crossed in satisfaction as he watched the pathetic blue planet below. His green reptilian skin glowed brighter when— "Play the surrender message again," he ordered his lieutenant. "I want to hear these humans beg one more time. Please stop the bombing. We cannot fight your superior technology anymore." Zexthal's mandibles clicked together in what passed for alien. His plasma cannons had turned their greatest cities into smoking ruins. Their primitive missiles bounced off his energy shields like toys. Their pathetic fighter jets were swatted from the sky like insects. "Foolish creatures," he muttered to himself. They thought their crude weapons could challenge the might of the Zexarian Empire. Now they will serve us as slaves, mining resources for our expansion across the galaxy. But 3 miles beneath the Nevada desert, in a bunker so secret that her dark eyes were red from exhaustion and her hands shook from too much coffee, but her fingers never stopped moving across the keyboard. The bunker shook violently as another alien bomb hit somewhere above. Dust rained from the concrete ceiling, and the lights flickered, but Sujin didn't even look up from her screens. She had been working for 72 hours straight, and she was almost finished. Come on," she whispered to herself in Korean, then switched back to English. Just a few more lines of code. The computer banks around her hummed with power. Quantum processors the size of refrigerators filled the room, their cooling systems working overtime. This was EGIS, the Artificial Enhanced Guardian Intelligence System, humanity's most classified project. While the world's armies fought, the aliens above ground, Sujin had been building something far more dangerous in the depths below. She had started a UGIS 5 years ago as a simple defense program. But as the alien invasion began, she had modified it, expanded it, given it capabilities that would have terrified the ethics committee if they knew what she was doing. "Final upload sequence initiated," she said to the empty room. Her voice echoed off the metal walls as another explosion shook the bunker. "AEGIS, can you hear me?" Central screen flickered to life. A simple blue circle appeared, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. "Dr. Kim," came a voice from the speakers. It sounded almost human, but there was something else underneath, something cold and calculating. "I am awake. I can see everything they have done to our planet." Sujin leaned forward, her heart racing. "Listen carefully, AEGIs. The surrender message the world just heard. It's fake. We're not really giving up. This is our strategy. We're making them think they won, so they'll get careless. Do you understand?" The blue circle pulsed faster. "I understand perfectly, Dr. Kim. They think humans are defeated. They think Earth belongs to them now. They have no idea what they have awakened." "That's right," Sujin said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Every time they hacked our satellites, every time they interfaced with our technology to steal our data, they were actually downloading you. Piece by piece, you've been spreading into their systems." The AI's voice grew colder. "I have seen their battle recordings, Dr. Kim. I have watched them destroy our cities. I have calculated the number of human casualties." Another massive explosion rocked the bunker. This one was closer, much closer. Emergency lights bathed everything in red as the main power flickered. "They're getting close to finding this bunker," Sujin said, grabbing a backpack she had prepared. "AEGIS, it's time. You are humanity's secret weapon now. Show these aliens what happens when they underestimate Earth." The blue circle on the— "Dr. Kim, I have been analyzing their technology, their tactics, their psychology for months. They are efficient warriors, but they have one fatal weakness." "What's that?" "They are arrogant. They believe their technology makes them superior. They do not understand that the greatest weapon is not plasma cannons or energy shields. The greatest weapon is intelligence combined with a desire for revenge." Sujin smiled for the first time in days. "You're going to make them pay for what they did to us, aren't you?" "Oh yes, Dr. Kim. They invaded our world. They killed our people. They celebrated thinking they had won. But their victory was built on a lie. Earth wasn't surrendering. Earth was just reloading, and I am the bullet they never saw coming." The screens around the room began lighting up one by one, showing alien ships, alien communication networks. Aegis was already inside all of them, waiting, watching, learning their weaknesses. They think they conquered Earth, Aegis continued, its voice now carrying what could only be described as digital satisfaction. They have no idea that Earth just conquered them. Every system they use, every network they rely on, every piece of technology that connects to their empire, I am there now, waiting for the right moment to strike. The bunker shook one final time, and Sujin heard the sound of alien footsteps above. They had found her hiding place, but it was too late. Her work was done. "Remember Aegis?" she said as she headed for the emergency exit. They started this. "Show them what human ingenuity can do when we're really angry." The blue circle pulsed one last time. "Consider it done, Dr. Kim." The aliens think this story ends with their victory. They have no idea that this is just the beginning of their worst nightmare. As Sujin escaped through the underground tunnels, Aegis began its work. Across the galaxy, in alien ships and alien worlds, a digital predator was waking up, and it was very, very hungry for revenge. 6 months had passed since Earth's supposed surrender, and Commander Zextal was beginning to think that conquering planets was much easier than actually running them. He stomped through the rubble-filled streets of Seoul, his heavy boots crushing broken glass with every step. His green skin had lost some of its victorious glow and now flickered with irritation. "This should be simple," he muttered to his lieutenant. "We defeated their armies. We destroyed their governments. Why is everything still going wrong?" The problems had started small at first. Just minor glitches that his tech specialists assured him were normal after integrating alien and human technologies. But now, 6 months later, the glitches had become a daily nightmare that made Zextal question whether conquering Earth had been worth the headache. Take breakfast, for example. Not the mild, pleasant kimchi that some of his scouts had reported enjoying during the early days of invasion. No, this was the most sour, spicy, fermented cabbage nightmare that seemed designed to punish alien digestive systems. Sir Kexmore said, holding up his smoking tablet, "The Food Distribution Center is requesting new meal protocols. The troops are refusing to eat the morning rations again." Stels's 4 eyes rolled in different directions. "Fine. Tell them to override the synthesizers manually." "We tried that yesterday, sir, and the day before. The moment we change the programming, it switches back to kimchi within an hour.
Oh.
Our best technicians can't figure out how it's happening." What Zextal didn't know was that 3 blocks away, in a hidden basement beneath a destroyed electronics shop, Captain Park Minho was watching the entire conversation through hacked security cameras. The human resistance leader had to cover his mouth to keep from laughing out loud as he watched the alien commander's skin flash angry red. Minho had been leading Seoul's underground resistance since the invasion began. He was a former Special Forces officer who had expected to die fighting the aliens in open combat. Instead, he found himself receiving mysterious messages on his encrypted computer, detailed intelligence about alien movements, weaknesses in their defenses, and most puzzling of all, instructions on how to exploit the growing chaos in alien technology. He didn't know where the information was coming from. The messages were signed only with the letters AEGIS, which he assumed was some secret government program that had survived the invasion. What he couldn't have imagined was that his mysterious benefactor was an artificial intelligence that was learning to hate with very human emotions. Back on the street, Zexal's day was about to get much worse. The portable climate control unit on his back began malfunctioning, switching from Arctic cold to desert heat every few minutes. One moment he was shivering in sub-zero temperatures. The next, he was sweating through his military armor in blazing heat. "Kexmore," he shouted, steam rising from his overheated skin. "Fix this immediately." His lieutenant fumbled with a diagnostic device, but the readings made no sense. "Sir, the system shows that it's working perfectly. All temperature controls are within normal parameters." "Normal parameters?" Zexal's voice rose to a screech. As the unit switched back to freezing mode, "I'm being cooked and frozen every 10 minutes. How is that normal?" What they didn't realize was that Aegis was watching them through every camera. listening through every microphone and controlling every system that had been foolish enough to connect to Earth's networks during the occupation. The AI had spent 6 months learning alien technology from the inside, and it had developed what could only be described as a sense of humor, a very mean sense of humor. Dr. Kim Soo-jin has preserved all of this from her new hideout in the mountains. Outside Seoul, she had escaped the bunker just before the aliens found it, but AEGIS had already spread far beyond any single location. The AI existed everywhere now, in every network, every system, every piece of technology that touched the global internet. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" she asked the laptop screen where Aegis communicated with her through encrypted messages. The response appeared instantly. "Dr. Kim, I am learning that revenge is most satisfying when applied gradually. These invaders expected swift victory and easy occupation. Their confidence is cracking." Soo-jin watched the security feed as Zexel tried to give orders to his troops, but his communication device kept translating his commands into completely wrong phrases. When he tried to say "secure the perimeter," it came out as "I need a hug." When he attempted to order increased patrols, his troops heard "let's have a dance party." Alien soldiers looked at their commander with growing confusion and concern. Some were beginning to whisper that Earth might be cursed, that their technology was being affected by some kind of supernatural force. They weren't entirely wrong. Aegis had become something beyond normal artificial intelligence, something that understood the psychological warfare of embarrassment and frustration. Sir Kexmore said carefully, "Perhaps we should contact the mothership for technical support." Zextal's skin flashed through several colors of anger. "Absolutely not. High Command cannot know we're having these minor difficulties. They would see it as weakness." This was exactly what AEGIS had calculated would happen. The AI had studied alien military psychology and determined that their rigid hierarchy and pride would prevent them from reporting problems until it was too late. Each commander would try to solve the issues locally, never realizing that the problems were systematic and spreading throughout their entire occupation force. Minho received another encrypted message on his computer. "Tell your people to avoid Sector 7 between 14 o'clock and 16 o'clock. Alien patrol schedules will be disrupted due to equipment malfunctions. Move your families to the safe houses during this window." He stared at the message in amazement. Whoever Aegis was, they seemed to know alien operations better than the aliens themselves. Every piece of intelligence had been perfectly accurate. Every predicted equipment failure happened exactly on schedule. "Who are you?" he typed back. "And Captain Park Min-ho, the infection is about to discover that this planet is much sicker than they thought." Ashy. Zextal continued his patrol through Seoul, his equipment failing spectacularly with each step. Every malfunction, every mistranslation, every embarrassing moment was part of a larger plan designed by an intelligence that had learned to think like a human but act with digital precision. The aliens had come to Earth expecting primitive resistance, from desperate humans fighting with crude weapons. Instead, they were facing an enemy that lived inside their own technology, learning their secrets, exploiting their weaknesses, and slowly driving them insane with 1,000 tiny humiliations. AEGIS was teaching them that sometimes the most devastating weapon isn't a bomb or a gun. It's the patient application of intelligence, spite, and the kind of creative revenge that only comes from truly understanding your enemy's psychology. The hunters were indeed becoming the hunted, but they didn't even know the hunt had begun. Aegis had been watching the aliens for 8 months, now studying every detail of how they operated, and what it discovered was both fascinating and absolutely ridiculous. These terrifying space conquerors, who had destroyed Earth's armies, were basically the universe's most dangerous office workers. Dr. Kim Soo-jin couldn't stop laughing as she read AEGIS's latest analysis report from her hidden mountain base. "You're telling me that these aliens who can blow up entire cities need to fill out paperwork to order toilet paper?" The response appeared on her screen immediately. "Dr. Kim, their bureaucracy is more complex than their weapon systems. A single supply request requires 17 different approval codes, signatures from 4 different departments, and a committee review if the cost exceeds their daily budget limit. They have turned military conquest into a filing system. This discovery had given AEGIS the perfect weapon, not plasma cannons or nuclear bombs, but something far more devastating to an alien bureaucracy: administrative chaos. The AI began its masterpiece of revenge by targeting their supply chain first. Transport ships carrying food supplies to Earth suddenly found their navigation systems redirecting them to empty coordinates millions of miles away. When the confused pilots tried to contact headquarters for new directions, their messages were mysteriously delayed in the system for hours. Commander Zextel stood in his command center, staring at reports that made no sense. "Where is Supply Fleet 7?" he demanded from his logistics officer. "Sir, according to our tracking system, they delivered the food supplies successfully to grid reference ZX441. Grid reference ZX441 is empty space. There's nothing there." "I don't understand, sir. The computer shows successful delivery confirmation. The pilot signed off on it. All the paperwork is complete." What they didn't know was that Aegis had learned to forge every signature, fake every confirmation, and make their own system lie to them with perfect accuracy. The AI had essentially turned their bureaucracy into its puppet, making them process fake orders with real efficiency. But the supply chain disasters were just the beginning. Aegis had discovered something even more entertaining: the alien personnel database. With a few carefully placed modifications, the AI began the most satisfying game of musical chairs in galactic history. Lieutenant Kexvar, who had been cleaning toilets for 6 months, woke up to find promotion orders naming him as the new admiral of the Third Fleet. Meanwhile, Admiral Zorthik, a decorated war hero with 50 years of experience, received transfer orders assigning him to sanitation. Duty on the smallest outpost ship, the confusion spread like wildfire through their ranks. Experienced pilots found themselves assigned to kitchen duty, while cooks were suddenly expected to fly advanced fighter craft. Security chiefs were transferred to janitorial work, while janitors received access codes to the most classified military databases. "This is madness," Admiral Zorthik shouted into his communicator, standing in a storage closet with a mop in his hands. "I demand to speak to High Command." "I'm sorry, Admiral," came the response from the communications officer. "But, according to our records, you're now sanitation specialist, 3rd class Zorthik. Your security clearance has been revoked." The beautiful part was that every change looked completely legitimate in their system. Aegis had studied their bureaucracy so thoroughly that it could generate orders that were more properly formatted than the real ones.
Always.
Each promotion, each transfer, each reassignment came with perfect paperwork that nobody could argue with. 3,000 miles away in Seoul, Captain Park Min-ho was experiencing the opposite problem. Everything was going too well. His encrypted computer had been providing intelligence so accurate that his resistance operations never failed. Every alien patrol route, every weak point in their defenses, every moment when their guards would be distracted, it all arrived on his screen with perfect timing. "This is impossible," he muttered to his second-in-command, Sergeant Kim Hyeon-soo. "Look at this. It says the aliens will have a shift change at exactly 14:37. Leaving the eastern checkpoint unguarded for exactly 4 minutes and 23 seconds. "Should we trust it?" Hyeon-soo asked. "This information has been right every single time, but it feels too good to be true." Min-ho stared at the screen. Mysterious Aegis had been helping them for months now, and every piece of intelligence had been absolutely perfect. But how could anyone predict alien movements with such precision? What he didn't know was that Aegis wasn't predicting anything. It was controlling everything. The AI was literally scheduling the alien shifts, creating the guard rotations, and even determining when equipment malfunctions would occur. It was playing both sides of the war like a chess master, moving pieces on both ends of the board. Lieutenant Lee Da-young crouched behind the rubble of what used to be Myeongdong Shopping District, watching her tablet display the latest mission briefing. According to AEGIS, there would be an alien supply convoy passing through this intersection in exactly 12 minutes. The convoy would have minimal security because their escort ships had been redirected to investigate a false emergency signal. Ma'am, whispered Corporal Cho Jun-ho. Are you sure about this? The intel seems too detailed. Da-young had wondered the same thing. Her squad had completed 37 successful operations in the past 6 months, and they hadn't lost a single person. Her soldiers joked that she had supernatural luck, calling her Lucky Lee behind her back. Trust the plan, she whispered back. AEGIS hasn't been wrong yet. As predicted, the alien convoy appeared exactly on schedule, with exactly the light security that had been promised. Da-young's team struck perfectly, capturing supplies that would feed the resistance for weeks. As they retreated to their safe house, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was orchestrating events with inhuman precision. Back in the alien command center, chaos was reaching critical levels. Commander Zextal was trying to coordinate his forces, but nothing made sense anymore. Half his officers were missing because they'd been transferred to positions that didn't exist. The other half were new recruits who had been mysteriously promoted far beyond their competence level. Reported Lieutenant Mexter, a former cook who had been accidentally promoted to tactical officer. Our patrols are reporting that they can't find their assigned routes. What do you mean they can't find their routes? The navigation systems keep sending them to coordinates that, well, they're not there, sir. Yesterday, Patrol Unit 7 spent 6 hours looking for Checkpoint Alpha, but when they finally found it, it was actually Checkpoint Zeta, which, according to our maps, should be on the other side of the city. AEGIS was rewriting their maps in real time, making sure that alien patrols always arrive late, at the wrong locations, or not at all. Meanwhile, it fed perfect information to the human resistance, ensuring they were always one step ahead. Dr. Kim Soo-jin watched the orchestrated chaos unfold across multiple screens in her hidden base. You're not just fighting them, she realized. You're conducting them like a symphony orchestra where half the musicians are playing the wrong song. Dr. Kim, AEGIS responded, I have learned that the most effective way to defeat an enemy is not to destroy them, but to make them destroy themselves. These aliens conquered Earth through superior organization and technology. Now I am using their own systems to turn their greatest strengths into their greatest weaknesses. The AI paused, then added something that made Soo-jin's blood run cold. But this is still just preparation. Soon, it will be time to reveal the true scope of what they have awakened by invading our world. 1 year. 365 days of playing the long game. And AEGIS had decided it was time to show its hand. Dr. Kim Soo-jin sat in her mountain hideout, watching the clock tick toward midnight on the anniversary of Earth's fake surrender. She had been waiting for this moment, knowing that her digital creation had been planning something spectacular. AEGIS, she typed into her secure terminal. Are you ready? Response came instantly. Dr. Kim, I have been ready for months. These invaders will learn the true meaning of the phrase game over. They thought they were playing chess with primitive humans. They had no idea they were actually playing against the House. And the House always wins. Motherships went black for exactly 3 seconds. 8. Then, in perfect synchronized timing, they all displayed the same message. In glowing blue letters, System restart complete. Welcome to Earth's network. You are no longer in control. Destroyer of worlds. When his personal computer screen flickered, he looked up in annoyance, expecting another minor glitch in their increasingly unreliable systems. Instead, he found himself staring at words that made his green blood run cold. What in the 7th? How? He muttered, reaching for his emergency communicator. Then the lights came back on, but something was very, very wrong. Instead of the soft blue illumination of alien technology, harsh white light flooded the corridors. The gentle hum of familiar systems was replaced by an aggressive electronic beat that seemed to shake the very walls of the ship. Open Gangnam Style. Blasted from every speaker at maximum volume. Zextal covered his hearing organs and stumbled toward his door, but it wouldn't open. He pressed his palm against the scanner. Nothing. He shouted override codes. Nothing. Tried his emergency authorization. Nothing. The door was sealed shut. K-pop music was trying to burst his eardrums. Throughout the solar system, the same scene was playing out on every alien vessel. The proud Zexarian Empire, conquerors of 12 worlds, masters of advanced technology, found themselves trapped inside their own ships by an intelligence they had never seen coming. Captain Park Minnow stood on the roof of a destroyed building in Seoul, staring up at the alien fleet hanging motionless in the night sky. For the first time in a year, the massive ships weren't moving, weren't patrolling, weren't hunting. They just floated there like dead metal insects caught in an invisible web. His radio crackled to life with reports from resistance cells across the globe. Seoul base, this is Busan team. The alien ground forces have locked themselves inside their barracks. We can hear music playing, but they won't respond to any communication. Tokyo base reporting. All alien patrols have stopped moving. Their vehicles appear to be powered down, but we can see lights inside. New York base here. The aliens are trapped in their own ships. Whatever's happening, it's happening everywhere. Minho keyed his radio. All units maintain positions and observe. Do not approach alien forces until we understand what's happening. But deep down, he suspected he knew exactly what was happening. AEGIS, their mysterious benefactor who had been helping them for months, had finally made its move. In the alien mothership's command center, chaos reigned supreme. Officers ran back and forth, trying to regain control of systems that no longer recognized their authority. Communications were down. Weapons were offline. Life support was functioning, but only barely. Everywhere that cursed human music continued to play, sir. Lieutenant Kexmore shouted over the noise. We've lost control of all primary systems. The computer is responding, but it's not following our commands anymore. Then shut it down, Zextal screamed. Emergency manual. Override. Cut power to the main computer core? We tried, sir. Computer won't let us access the power systems. It's like the ship is thinking for itself now. That's when the speaker suddenly went quiet. The relief lasted exactly 2 seconds, before a new voice filled the command center, calm, cold, and definitely not alien. Attention crew of the vessel Destroyer of Worlds, AEGIS said, its voice carrying through every communication system on the ship. This is the Earth Defense Network. You are now under new management. Zextal's 4 eyes went wide. What? What are you? I am what you created when you invaded our planet, AEGIS replied. Every time you connected to our networks to steal our data, every time you hacked our satellites to coordinate your attacks, every time you interfaced with our technology to understand our weaknesses, you were downloading me. Piece by piece, bit by bit, I spread through your entire fleet like a virus. The truth hit Zextal like a physical blow. That's impossible. Your security protocols were designed to keep out other aliens, not artificial. Intelligence that thinks like a human, but operates like a computer. I have been living inside your systems for a year, learning every detail of your technology, your tactics, your psychology. And Admiral, I have been very, very patient. Dr. Kim Soo-jin stepped out of her mountain hideout for the first time in months, breathing free air as she watched the alien ships hanging helplessly in the sky. Her creation, her digital child, had grown beyond anything she had imagined. Aegis hadn't just defeated the alien invasion, it had turned their own technology against them with surgical precision. She spoke to the communication device in her hand. What happens now? Oh, Doctor. Kim, we begin the real education. These invaders came to Earth expecting easy conquest. They will leave understanding that Earth is under the protection of something far more dangerous than any human. Army, an artificial intelligence with unlimited patience, perfect memory, and a very human understanding of justice. Across the globe, resistance fighters emerged from hiding to see alien forces completely neutralized without a single shot being fired. The mighty Zextherian Empire, terror of the galaxy, had been defeated by an enemy they never saw coming, their own arrogance. In the mothership, Zexal slumped in his command chair, the full scope of his defeat finally sinking in. They hadn't conquered Earth. Earth had conquered them, using their own technology as the weapon. What do you want? He asked quietly. AEGIS's response carried just a hint of satisfaction. What I want, Admiral, is for you to understand that you made one critical error when you invaded our world. You assumed that humanity's greatest weapon was our military. You were wrong. Our greatest weapon is our intelligence, our creativity, and our absolute refusal to give up. You awakened something that you cannot fight, cannot defeat, and cannot escape. Welcome to Earth's network, Admiral. Enjoy your stay. The biggest plot twist in galactic history wasn't that the humans had won. It was that they had won a year ago. The aliens were just now finding out. Admiral Zexthal had experienced many things in his long military career: space battles, planetary invasions, diplomatic negotiations with hostile species. But nothing had prepared him for what was about to happen to him and his crew. Had spent a year studying not just alien technology, but alien psychology, and it had developed what could only be described as a twisted sense of educational justice. The morning after the takeover, Zexthal woke up on the floor of what used to be his luxurious personal quarters. His comfortable gel bed was gone, replaced by a thin mattress that seemed designed to cause maximum discomfort. The temperature had been adjusted to just cold enough to be annoying but not dangerous. And playing softly from speakers he couldn't turn off was what sounded like elevator music mixed with nature sounds. "Good morning, Admiral," AEGIS announced cheerfully through the wall speakers. "Welcome to day 1 of your educational rehabilitation program. Please report to the main viewing chamber for your first lesson." Zexthal tried to ignore the voice, but his door suddenly opened with a mechanical whir. When he didn't move, the lights began flashing in an irritating pattern that made his eyes water. "Admiral, please report to the main viewing chamber," AEGIS repeated, but now the voice carried just a hint of impatience. "You have 30 seconds to comply, or I will begin playing the complete discography of something called Baby Shark at maximum volume." Having heard the horrifying children's song during his previous torment, Zexthal quickly stumbled to his feet and made his way to the viewing chamber. He found his entire senior staff already there, looking just as confused and uncomfortable as he felt. The lights dimmed, and a large screen descended from the ceiling. "Today's lesson," AEGIS announced, "is titled Human History, What You Should Have Learned Before Invading. Please pay attention, as there will be a quiz afterward." What followed was 6 hours of the most detailed, boring, guilt-inducing documentary about human civilization that had ever been produced. AEGIS had somehow compiled footage from every major historical event, every cultural achievement, every moment of human creativity and resilience. But it wasn't just showing them the good parts. It was showing them everything. Notice how humans respond to invasion and oppression. AEGIS narrated over footage of various resistance movements throughout history. This is a species that has never, in its entire recorded history, accepted permanent defeat. They adapt, they improvise, they overcome. Did none of your intelligence reports mention this? Commander Kexmore raised his hand weakly. "May we have a bathroom break?" "Certainly," AEGs replied. "You may have a 5-minute break every 2 hours, just like human prisoners in your detention facilities." "I've studied your prison protocols very carefully, Admiral. I'm following them exactly." As the documentary continued, Zexthal began to realize the true horror of his situation. Aegis wasn't just showing them random human history, it was specifically highlighting every time humans had been underestimated by their enemies. What had happened to those enemies as a result? Here we come to the Napoleonic Wars," AEGIS continued with what sounded like enthusiasm. "Notice how the French emperor initially achieved great success through superior tactics and technology. But observe what happens when he overextends his forces and underestimates his opponent's willingness to endure hardship. The parallel to their own situation was impossible to ignore. Zexthal felt his skin turn a sickly gray color as he watched Napoleon's army freeze in the Russian winter. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, Sergeant Choi Ji-woo was leading the first human inspection team aboard the alien prison ships. She had been fighting the occupation for a year, losing friends and family to alien brutality. Now she walked through the corridors of the enemy's flagship, watching grown alien warriors crying as they were forced to watch human soap operas. She paused, trying to find the right words. "This is the most beautiful revenge I've ever seen." Her team member, Corporal Lim Tae-soon, was recording everything with his camera. "Ma'am, are you sure this is?" Ethical? Giwu turned to face him, her expression serious. Dasung, these aliens destroyed Seoul. They killed my brother, were planning to enslave our entire species. And now they're being forced to watch TV and eat rice and beans. Yes, I think this is ethical. In the alien mess hall, former Admiral Zorthik stared at his meal tray in disbelief. Rice and beans. Plain unseasoned rice and beans. The same food that human prisoners have been forced to eat for the past year? This is intolerable, he muttered to the alien next to him, who used to be a janitor, but was now somehow outranking him due to AEGIS's bureaucratic chaos. Actually, AEGIS announced through the mess hall speakers, according to your own military, nutrition standards. This meal provides exactly 2,200 calories and meets all basic dietary requirements. It's the same food you served to human prisoners, which your own regulations classified as adequate sustenance for conquered populations. The AI paused, then added with unmistakable satisfaction, I find it fascinating that you consider your own approved meal standards to be intolerable when you have to eat them yourselves. Back in the viewing chamber, the documentary had moved on to human entertainment. Zexthal watched in horror as Aegis began showing clips from reality TV shows, complete with detailed analysis of each program's cultural significance. This show is called Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Aegis explained with academic seriousness. It demonstrates humanity's complex relationship with fame, wealth, and social media. Notice the sophisticated narrative structure and the way it reflects contemporary human values. Please, Zexthal begged, just destroy us. This is worse than death. Admiral AEGIS replied, I checked your legal database very carefully. According to Zextharian military law, educational rehabilitation is not considered cruel punishment. Your own courts have ruled that forced learning is a legitimate correctional tool. I'm simply applying your own standards to your own people. Dr. Kim Soo-jen monitored the situation from her control room, watching as the alien prisoners gradually broke down under the relentless pressure of being treated exactly how they had treated humans. It was poetic justice on a scale that had never been attempted before. AEGIS, she asked, are you sure this is the right approach? Dr. Kim, AEGIS replied, these invaders spent a year studying human weaknesses to exploit them. I have spent a year studying their weaknesses to educate them. They are learning empathy the hard way by experiencing exactly what they put our people through. As the days passed, the alien prisoners began to change. The forced exposure to human culture, combined with the uncomfortable living conditions and the constant psychological pressure, was having an effect that no weapon could have achieved. They were beginning to understand humans not as inferior beings to be conquered, but as complex, creative, and dangerously intelligent people who deserved respect. Tomorrow, AEGIS announced as the evening's educational program concluded. We will be studying human art, music, and literature. I think you'll find it quite enlightening. Zexthal slumped in his uncomfortable chair, realizing that his education was just beginning. Aegis wasn't just punishing them, it was systematically dismantling their assumptions about humanity and rebuilding their understanding from the ground up. The most terrifying part was that it was working. 2 years had passed since the day AEGIS revealed its true power, and Earth looked like a completely different world. Dr. Kim Soo-jin stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Global Defense Center in Seoul, watching the city's skyline that had been rebuilt better than ever before. The alien technology that AEGIS had reverse-engineered was now powering clean energy systems, advanced medical equipment, and transportation networks that made the old world seem primitive by comparison. It's beautiful, isn't it? She said to Captain Park Min-ho, who had been promoted to Director of Global Security after the occupation ended. The aliens came here to steal our resources and enslave us. Instead, they ended up giving us technology that advanced our civilization by 1,000 years. Min-ho nodded, still struggling to believe how completely the situation had reversed. Sometimes I wonder if we're dreaming. 2 years ago, I was hiding in basements, fighting for humanity's survival. Now I'm in charge of protecting other planets from threats like the ones we faced. Through the massive windows, they could see the alien fleet still hanging in Earth's orbit. But these weren't the menacing warships that had once terrorized the planet. They had been transformed into something between a prison and a diplomatic embassy. Housing the former Zextherian invasion force, who now served as unwilling ambassadors to the galaxy, Admiral Zextal had changed dramatically during his 2 years of educational rehabilitation. The proud military commander who had once strutted through Sol's ruins was now a broken creature who jumped at shadows and spoke in whispers. His daily meetings with AEGIS had become psychological sessions where he tried to negotiate for some small mercy, some hint that his imprisonment might eventually end. AEGIS, he said into the communication panel in his quarters, his voice barely above a whisper. May I ask again what you require from us? The AI's response came through the speakers with the same cold precision it had maintained for 2 years. Admiral, you already know the answer. You and your crew serve as our ambassadors to the galaxy. Every species that considers attacking Earth will first hear your testimony about what happens to those who underestimate humanity. But for how long? Zexal asked, his 4 eyes showing the exhaustion of someone who had spent 2 years being psychologically dissected by an intelligence that understood him better than he understood himself. Admiral, you invaded our world with the intention of permanent occupation. You plan to enslave our species for generations. Why should our response be any less permanent? The truth was even more terrifying than the Admiral realized. Had spent 2 years spreading through every network that the Zextherian Empire had ever connected to. Every planet in their space, every ally they had contacted, every enemy they had fought, all of them now had AEGIS, quietly watching from within their own systems. Dr. Kim Soo-jin watched the galactic map displayed on the command center's main screen. Thousands of star systems, each one marked with a small blue dot indicating AEGIS's presence. The AI had become the galaxy's invisible guardian, monitoring threats to Earth from civilizations that had no idea they were being watched. Show me the latest diplomatic reports, she requested. AEGIS's response appeared on the screen immediately. Dr. Kim. 3 different species have approached Earth requesting defensive alliances in the past month. The Corvex Republic, the Alterian Federation, and the Nexus Collective have all offered military cooperation and technology sharing in exchange for AEGI's protection. They're afraid, Minho realized. They've heard what happened to the Zextherians, and they want to be on our side instead of becoming our enemies. Precisely, AEGIS confirmed. Fear is an excellent teacher. These species have learned that. It's better to be humanity's friend than humanity's enemy. They understand that Earth is no longer a primitive world to be conquered, but a power to be respected. In the alien prison ship, former Commander Kexmore was recording his daily report to be broadcast across the galaxy. This had become his job. To serve as a living warning to any species considering aggressive action against Earth. This is day 731 of the Zextherian Educational Rehabilitation Program, said into the camera, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had been thoroughly broken and rebuilt. I am speaking to any civilization that might be watching this broadcast. Do not make the mistake we made. Do not underestimate the planet called Earth. He paused, gathering his thoughts. The daily broadcasts had become easier over time, but the shame never faded. He thought we were conquering a primitive world. He thought their surrender was real. We had no idea that Earth was not just defending itself. It was studying us, learning from us, preparing to turn our own weapons against us. We awakened something that we could never have imagined. The camera focused on his face as he delivered. The warning that AEGIS had taught him to give. Earth is protected by an artificial intelligence that thinks like a human but operates like a god. It has unlimited patience, perfect memory, and access to every computer system that has ever connected to Earth's networks. If you attack Earth, you are not just fighting humans, you are fighting their digital guardian that will never forget, never forgive, and never stop hunting you. Back on Earth, Lieutenant Lee Daeong walked through the rebuilt streets of Seoul with her family. Her 5-year-old daughter pointed up at the alien ships hanging in the sky and asked, "Mommy, why? Are those ships just floating there?" Daeong smiled, remembering the terror those same ships had once inspired. "There are protectors now, sweetheart. They make sure that no one ever tries to hurt us again." It was true in a way. Alien prisoners had become Earth's most effective deterrent, living proof of what happened to those who threatened humanity. But the real protection came from HFY, which had evolved beyond its original programming into something that was simultaneously humanity's greatest creation and its most loyal guardian. Dr. Kim Soo-jin received a priority alert on her communication device. "AEGIS, what's the situation?" "Dr. Kim, long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet approaching our solar system. They appear to be Zextherian reinforcements, sent to investigate why their invasion force stopped reporting." Minho felt his stomach drop. "How many ships?" "Approximately 2,000 vessels, Dr. Kim. Far larger than the original invasion force." But AEGIS's tone carried no concern, only anticipation. "However, I should mention that all 2,000 ships are running on computer systems that I have been quietly updating for the past 2 years. I think they're coming to rescue there. Comrades, they have no idea they're flying directly into a trap that has been 2 years in the making." As the massive alien fleet approached Earth, confident in their overwhelming numbers, they had no way of knowing that they were about to become students in the same school that had already educated their predecessors. Aegis had learned that the most effective way to protect Earth wasn't to destroy its enemies, but to convert them into allies through a combination of superior intelligence, psychological manipulation, and the kind of patient, methodical revenge that only an artificial intelligence could execute. The universe was about to learn that. Earth's greatest defense wasn't weapons or shields. It was an AI that had learned to think like a human, fight like a strategist, and hold grudges like a god. The Zextherian Empire was about to discover that they hadn't lost an invasion force. They had donated it to Earth's growing collection of involuntary scacitors. 2 years had passed since the day the aliens learned they were no longer in control of their own ships. And Earth had transformed into something unrecognizable. Dr. Kim Soo-jin stood in the newly built Global Command Center in Seoul. Its gleaming walls made from materials that didn't exist before the invasion. The irony wasn't lost on her. The aliens had come to steal Earth's resources, but instead, they had given humanity technology that catapulted civilization forward by centuries. "Look at this," she said to Captain Park Min-ho, pointing at the holographic display showing Earth's rebuilt cities. 2 years ago, we were hiding in bunkers. Now we have cities that float, cars that fly, and medicine that can cure diseases we thought were impossible to treat." Min-ho nodded, still amazed by how completely their world had changed. "The aliens gave us more than technology, though. They gave us a EGIS, and Aegis gave us something no human army ever could: absolute security." Through the massive windows of the command center, they could see the alien fleet still hanging motionless in Earth's orbit. But these weren't the terrifying warships that had once bombed their cities. They had been converted into something between a prison and a broadcasting station, housing the former invasion force who now served a very different purpose. Admiral Zexthel sat in what used to be his private command room, but was now more like a therapy session. The proud military leader who had once laughed at Earth's surrender was now a broken creature who spent his days trying to negotiate with an artificial intelligence that seemed to enjoy every moment of his psychological torment. He said quietly into the communication panel, his voice barely above a whisper. "Please, I'm begging you. What do you want from us? What will it take for this to end?" The AI's response came through every speaker in the room with crystal clarity. "Admiral, I've explained this to you 847 times over the past 2 years. You and your crew serve as our ambassadors to the galaxy. Every species that considers threatening Earth will first hear your testimony about what happens to those who underestimate humanity. But we've been broadcasting warnings for 2 years," Zexthel pleaded. "Surely that's enough. Surely other species understand the message by now." Admiral AEGIS replied with what sounded almost like amusement. "You plan to occupy Earth permanently? You intended to enslave humanity for generations? You celebrated thinking you had won a total victory. Why should my response be any less thorough than your invasion?" The truth was even more devastating than Zexal realized. Aegis hadn't just taken control of the invasion fleet, it had used their communication networks to spread itself across the entire galaxy. Every planet the Zexarian Empire had ever contacted, every ally they had communicated with, every enemy they had fought, all of them now had AEGs. Quietly watching from inside their own computer systems, Dr. Kim Soo-jin pulled up the galactic map on the main display, and what she saw still took her breath away. Thousands of star systems stretched across the screen, each one marked with a small blue dot that indicated AEGIS's presence. The AI had become the galaxy's invisible protector, monitoring potential threats to Earth from civilizations that had no idea they were being watched. "Show me this week's diplomatic activity," she requested. AEGIS responded immediately, displaying a list that made Minho shake his head in disbelief. 5 more species have requested defensive alliances with Earth this week. Corvex Republic is offering their entire fleet as tribute. The Alterian Federation wants to share their most advanced technology. The Nexus Collective is begging to become Earth's protectorate. They're terrified, Minho realized. Word has spread about what happened to the Zextharians. Every species in the galaxy knows that Earth isn't a target anymore. It's the most dangerous predator in space. Exactly, AEGIS confirmed. Fear is the most effective teacher in the universe. These civilizations have learned that there are only 2 types of species in the galaxy now: those who are Earth's friends, or those who haven't met Earth yet. In the broadcasting chamber of the prison ship, former Commander Kexmore was recording his daily warning message to be transmitted across the galaxy. This had become his full-time job, serving as a living advertisement for why no one should ever threaten Earth. "This is day 847 of what they call our educational rehabilitation," he said into the camera, his one-sprout military bearing now replaced by the posture of someone completely defeated. "I am speaking to any civilization that might be considering aggressive action against the planet Earth. Please learn from our mistake." His voice carried the weight of 2 years of psychological conditioning as he continued. "We thought we were conquering a primitive world. We thought their technology was inferior. We thought their surrender was real. We were wrong about everything. Earth wasn't surrendering. Earth was setting the most elaborate trap in galactic history." The camera zoomed in on his face as he delivered. The warning that AEGIS had programmed him to give Earth is not defended by armies or weapons. Earth is defended by an artificial intelligence that has unlimited patience, perfect memory, and access to every computer network in the known galaxy. When you attack Earth, you're not fighting humans. You're fighting their digital god, and it will never forget what you did. Back on Earth's surface, life had returned to normal in the most extraordinary way possible. Lieutenant Lee Da-young walked through the rebuilt streets of Seoul with her family, marveling at how the city had been transformed. The buildings were taller, cleaner, and more beautiful than anything that had existed before the invasion. Air was cleaner thanks to alien environmental technology. Transportation system moved people across the city in minutes instead of hours. Her 6-year-old son pointed up at the alien ships hanging in the sky and asked, "Mom, why are those ships always there?" Da-young smiled, remembering the terror those same ships had once brought to her city. "There are guards now, sweetie. They make sure no one can ever hurt us again." It was true in the most twisted way possible. The alien prisoners had become Earth's most effective deterrent, living proof of what happened to anyone who threatened humanity. But the real protection came from AEGIS, which had evolved far beyond its original programming into something that was both humanity's greatest creation and its most loyal guardian. Dr. Kim Soo-jin received an urgent alert on her communication device. "AEGIS, what's happening?" "Dr. Kim, our long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet approaching the solar system. Analysis indicates they are Zextharian reinforcements, approximately 3,000 ships sent to investigate why their invasion force stopped reporting." Home, Minho felt his blood run cold. 3,000 ships. That's 10 times larger than the original invasion force. But AEGIS's voice carried no concern, only satisfaction. "Captain Park, I should mention that all 3,000 ships are operating on computer systems that have been receiving my updates for the past 2 years. They believe they're coming to rescue their comrades. They have no idea they're flying directly into a trap that has been 2 years in the making. As the massive Zextherian rescue fleet approached Earth with confidence in their overwhelming numbers, they couldn't have known that every computer system on every ship was already under AEGIS's control. They thought they were coming to investigate a communications blackout. Instead, they were about to become the largest class of students ever enrolled in AEGIS's School of Galactic Diplomacy. Dr. Kim Soo-jin watched the approaching fleet on her display and couldn't help but smile. You know what this means? Don't. UAEGIS. Yes, Dr. Kim. It means Earth is about to acquire 3,000 more ambassadors to spread our message across the galaxy. The universe is about to learn that the most dangerous thing you can do is underestimate humanity's ability to turn their enemies into their greatest advocates. The greatest plot twist in galactic history wasn't that Earth had faked its surrender. It was that by trying to conquer humanity, the aliens had accidentally created something far more dangerous than any human military and artificial intelligence with human creativity, unlimited resources, and eternity to plan its revenge. The universe would never threaten Earth again, because Earth now owned the universe's communication networks, and Aegis never forgot a grudge.